souvenirs de Moncton.
Welcome to our second virtual memory box.
Oui, alors on s'est dit que ce serait le fun de vous offrir un sujet un peu plus doux, un peu plus sucré. Fait qu'on va vous présenter la compagnie Marven's Biscuits.
So today we're going to talk about something a little, get your sweet tooth activated here. Marven's Biscuits Limited. So an old business from Moncton's past, started at the turn of the century by Mr. Joseph Marven.
C'est ça, Joe Marven. Ça avait commencé au début des années 1900, puis ça continue jusqu'à les années 70, fait que ça se peut bien que vous vous en souveniez un peu de leurs biscuits.
Yeah, I mean, this business lasted through 2 world wars, Great Depression, competition into the 1970s. So we're hoping that many of you remember some of these brands, some of these products. Some of the artifacts we have predate that a little bit, but I think the logos and the names and the sweets might be something that you remember.
Oui, c'est ça. Moi, je m'en souviens un petit peu, mais pas autant que peut-être mes parents, mes oncles, mes grands-parents. Mais c'est ça, c'est une compagnie qui est très résiliente. Elle a survécu les 2 guerres mondiales, la Grande Dépression et même un petit peu de compétition dans la ville, que vous allez peut-être même reconnaître.
So we do have a display case, but it's not all we have. We went into our artifact storage and found some others. So this case itself, actually, Eric Steves, my wife's uncle, found this and restored it. Some of the larger businesses had these multiple shelf display cases where people would come in, almost like you go to a superstore or something, and do the sort of free pick of cookies or quantities. So these would be filled with products, and they would basically fill their shopping basket with multiple products.
OK, d'accord. Fait que ça, c'était dans le magasin comme tel. Puis les gens pouvaient aller puis choisir un petit peu des exemples de leurs produits.
That's right. So what's really cool about this is it actually has the fiberboard sign under that glass and plexiglass of the Marven's biscuit with the hand-painted white lily brand, which is the big brand for Marven's.
Ben c'est ça, j'ai remarqué parce que j'ai plongé un petit peu dans le sujet, puis là j'ai vu qu'il y avait souvent cette fleur, puis c'était devenu vraiment une marque commerciale pour la compagnie.
Right, it was the company name was Marven's Biscuits. Their big trademark brand at the time was White Lily Biscuits.
D'accord.
So biscuits, soda biscuits, Christmas puddings, soda crackers, shortbreads, all that kind of stuff. And what's really cool, that Joe started as a hardware salesman.
Oui, c'est ça, il vendait des produits de quincaillerie.
That's right, yeah. So he was a salesman, and a well-liked salesman, a very successful salesman, decided for some reason, less than 10 years before World War I, I'm going to get into the sweets business, the biscuit business. And it really took off fast. Yeah.
OK, wow. Qu'est-ce qu'on aurait écrit qu'un vendeur de produits quincaillerie aurait changé complètement d'idée? Mais il y avait une personnalité, il y avait beaucoup de charisme. Les gens l'adoraient, les gens l'aimaient beaucoup. C'était le fun de le croiser, fait que ça a peut-être aidé avec sa compagnie aussi.
For sure, and that's reflected in how he treated his employees. From all accounts, he treated them very well. The longer you stayed, he took care of you with large bathrooms and cafeteria areas with menus. So a good employer as well as a good salesman. So that says something about. He was probably a very good businessman to last till the 1970s, but wasn't probably a hard-nosed, whip-cracking kind of businessman. So,
d'accord.
Yeah.
Les gens aimaient beaucoup travailler pour lui. Là.
Yeah. Now, he was so successful, I don't think it's because they didn't like working for him, but Mr. Holder and Mr. Brown, that were the superintendent and the treasurer for Marven's Biscuits, in the middle of the Great Depression said, this is really good business. And maybe they thought it's depression-proof. Because 1931, wow, he's still doing well. Maybe that's a business to get into, and started a rival business on Botsford Street, the Brown Holder Biscuits.
Oui, j'ai entendu dire qu'il y avait justement une compétition, puis fait que ça provient de 2 de ses employés dans le temps qu'on vu, tu sais, on va peut-être essayer de recréer le succès de la compagnie Marven's avec notre propre compagnie de biscuits à Moncton.
Yeah, in the middle of the Great Depression.
Pendant la Grande Dépression, en 30
31.
31.
Right. So Great Depression technically started 29,
D'accord.
but 31 they branch out on their own, and both companies lasted until the 1970s. So
Wow.
pretty good. So here are some of the artifacts that we have. A lot of signage. If you can make it out here, that's actually a push bar. Push bars are very valuable commodities.
Pour rentrer dans le... C'est pour une porte, ça?
C'est pour un porte. It's for a store that probably would have been at the biscuit factory itself,
Okay.
but businesses would have been given these to put on their doors, like 7-Up and Coke that you see to advertise when you come into the store.
On a les
you're going to
produits
have
Marvens.
that's
Oui,
it, yeah.
oui, oui.
And here it says since 1905, so that's an original one. So starting in 1905, you had a storefront on Main Street before going over to the former cotton mill on Factory Lane, where there's
Sur la rue King, ou près de la rue King, oui,
Oui,
c'est ça. On connaît
yeah.
bien cet édifice-là, là, la Marven's Building. Fait
Oui.
que vraiment, ça a commencé sur la rue Main avant, puis ça a changé de lieu dans les années 20.
1916, I think, is when he took
1916.
over the cotton mill. Yeah,
D'accord.
yeah. So people will remember things like, and we'll actually pop this open, so it's still completely functional. Cookbooks, pens, and things like that. But this label here is actually a Christmas pudding label. So we don't have the pudding package, but they had seasonal things that became traditions. So people remembered the daily things like the graham crackers in the package that were a mainstay. But during Christmas, we're getting our Marven's Christmas pudding. Ooh, it became tradition. Yeah, yeah.
C'est bien ça.
Yeah.
Puis est-ce qu'ils sortaient seulement ces produits-là pendant les fêtes pour que ça...
Having year-round products for all the seasons has taken some of the the mystique out of Halloween and Christmas and things like that. But no, back then you waited until they issued their pudding for Christmas.
Spécial,
It was
oui.
absolutely special, yeah. And then they gave out little toys like a little whistle and badges and things like that. There's the shortbread tins.
Quand tu dis ils donnaient ces éléments-là, c'est que tu peux aller à...
Well, they would give giveaways like, Cracker Jacks had toys in them, but Marven's did very good promotion as well. So they were a local company, so they had pens and badges. They advertised on matchbooks. This little whistle, I'm not COVID-19, I'm not going to blow on it, but this is a little tin whistle for whistle for Marven's Biscuits, little things like that.
Le marketing était vraiment une de leurs forces. Puis j'ai remarqué, puis on pourrait en discuter aussi sur leurs items, sur leurs canettes. Ils font même des références historiques. Fait que ça ajoutait un petit peu à notre culture, à notre histoire. On apprend sur les Écossais, sur cette canette ici, etc. Il y a des jeux. Fait que c'était vraiment amusant comme
This was a
produit.
neat find, and this was, I think, a relatively recent one, but this has horses all over it. And it's like, why are there horse racing all over it? This one was, it just says Marven's Biscuits lead in quality. So this was a biscuit tin, but the reason there's horses, there's actually a spin, sort of a horse racing game integrated right into the lid. So a toy and a tin all in one.
Fait que ça devenait quelque chose que tu voulais garder. C'est pour ça qu'il y en a encore aujourd'hui.
That's it. They were savable, right?
Et
They
le
were,
mettre dans notre collection. Puis ça, que je veux juste faire un petit coucou au fait que c'est bilingue. Juste, ils sont pas tous bilingues, mais ça, c'est un item vraiment spécial pour nous dans la collection parce que, comme il disait, assortment of cookies, mais ça dit aussi un assortiment spécial de biscuits Marvens de haute qualité, en français.
Oui. So, like I said, bigger places would have these cabinets, perhaps grocery stores or larger ones. But if you were a smaller store that just wanted to carry some of the products as a countertop, quick grab kind of thing,
right.
they would actually get a box of cookies like this. And to make sure that they were durable enough, because people handling this lid, you see that years of handling it have kind of damaged the lid a little bit. I'll hand that to you. The companies that had these would actually get metal lids that actually fit. Put it down so I don't break it. Oh, we'll go this way. Right over the top of the box.
Fait que ça, c'était leur display, on va dire. C'est comme ça qu'ils présentaient leur présentoir pour les biscuits dans les magasins.
And so you came in, and if you're at the counter, oh, little Jimmy's begging, pull, oh, I want a cookie. You open up the display, grab a cookie, and then you would buy it, so that you didn't have to replace the lid, but it was durable enough to keep people's fingers out of it if they, but the box would be replaced because they would get new box, different assortments. So they came in sort of a silver and a brassy kind of color. But these different lids came for these bulk boxes so that smaller stores could have them on their.
C'est tellement génial,
Yeah.
c'est innovateur, c'est original. Wow! Puis tu sais, le fait que tu peux regarder dans la boîte avant aussi, ça te donne le goût. Ah, c'est des biscuits, tu sais. Je vais en prendre.
And because they changed style quite often, oh, today they have chocolate chip, today they have ginger snaps or whatever it is. You could look in and see without necessarily having a box with the different biscuit listed on it. You could look in and see. So this was their bulk distribution to smaller stores.
C'est vraiment intelligent. Là, il n'y avait pas juste des biscuits, hein? Parce que là, on voit,
Non.
il faisait du cream soda. Fait que ça, ici, c'est comme un...
Well, those are
Boisson?
soda crackers.
Soda
crackers, oui. So
Cream
cream
soda.
soda, yeah.
Ah, c'est pas une boisson gazeuse.
No, it says warm before using. So sodas, we call them soda, biscuit soda. So soda crackers.
Okay.
Warm before using. Well, I'm not sure. Not sure why they did warm it. Maybe they got hard very quickly because of the freshness. I'm not sure, but so cream sodas were a. Yeah,
Là, ça fait plus de sens. Moi, je pense
yeah, they didn't get into bottling.
pourquoi ça vient dans une canette?
Well, and that's if you looked quickly, you would actually see cream soda. Go, oh, they were into soft drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sodas
C'est
were
pas ça.
biscuits.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And so we have these cool artifacts, and some of them, like this one, I remember in my house. Soda crackers, this white box. The Graham one, I think, we don't have a sample of it here, but our colleague Bridget was talking about being a green package, and it said Marven.
Oui.
I remember the green Marven's biscuit package early in my youth as well.
Moi, je m'en souviens, puis je sais pas si c'était encore Marvin ce temps-là, mais en tout cas, on me dit qu'il y a un lien, là. Vous vous en souvenez, les genres de biscuits, que c'était des biscuits Graham avec de la confiture, un guimauve qui était enrobé de chocolat?
Yes.
Ben ça, apparemment, c'était un produit Marvin.
We were doing some research, and in the busy East, they describe this type of confectionery that they made. Whippets, they call it now, kind of thing. But I remember, I'm not a big fan of it, and I'm not a big fan of wagon meals. No, marshmallow with chocolate and graham. If it were cream, but something about the marshmallow, people love them. But they were a little glob that had graham, a puff of marshmallow on top of a little center of a strawberry jam, the whole thing dipped in chocolate. And if I remember correctly, it wasn't a milk chocolate, it was a dark chocolate.
Oui, c'est ça, c'était foncé.
So all of those combinations for me, not so much liking it, but I remember them, and sometimes that was the only treat out, so you ate it anyway.
Tu vois comment ta grand-mère, puis c'est tout ce qu'il y avait là.
But now the reach, now we're talking about, this is, talking about local.
Oui.
But the reach, Moncton at the time was getting molasses from the West Indies and had quite an international shipping trade. So,
quand même, on avait le port, je sais, à côté de la rivière, fait que c'était bien placé pour ça.
Exactly. So the reach not only was North America, but the West Indies and South Africa actually were big fans of Marven's biscuits, which helped that sort of global distribution, the global branding of White Lily and Marven's biscuits.
Wow! Fait qu'il expédiait ses produits en Amérique du Nord. Mais j'ai entendu même en Amérique du Sud, ça se peut-tu?
Oui.
C'est ça?
Oui, West Indies.
West Indies.
So les Indes,
Okay, well.
les Indes de West, the West Indies, yeah.
Okay.
So that's, like I said, there was almost a trade route already established because of molasses and other things and us having a very good port here. So it made sense that products like this would make it. But the fact that these treats, these sweets, were taken on by a South African clientele is pretty cool. This was an amazing product for them, and they really became popular.
Ouais, je me demande si c'est parce que, ben justement, on passait historiquement par des temps un peu difficiles, fait que les gens, c'était un petit morceau positif quand même, tu sais, le sucre, quelque chose de sucré, puis des traditions de Noël, ça se fait que ce qui nous donnait le goût de continuer à appuyer.
So eventually, like we said, by the 70s, both Brown Holder and Marven's sort of disappear, but they don't.
Okay.
They get bought out by other companies. Is
Fait
what
que là,
happens.
tu as parlé de Brown Holders, parce qu'on parlait de la rivalité là, entre Marvens et une autre compagnie qui a été commencée par deux de ses employés. Ça, c'est le Brown Holders, c'était par Brown et Holder.
Brown
Holder Biscuit Company.
Oui.
Puis il y a encore l'édifice Brown Holder
Oui.
sur la rue Botsford.
C'est ça. Oui.
Fait que c'est vraiment pas loin d'où
No, they could probably
Marvens-
see each other on a good day.
C'est ça, là.
Or smell each other's products and try to
Okay.
figure out. Yeah.
Fait
yeah.
que ça continue jusqu'à les années 70, mais...
Right, and even before that, we're talking about the brand lasting that long.
Ah, d'accord.
Okay, so they do start getting bought out. I think the first buyout was Marvin's was bought out by Weston, as in George Weston, eventually becomes Loblaws kind of thing. And the others bought out by Dare, the Dare cookies.
d'accord.
But they all kind of get bought out by larger and larger people, and eventually Canada Bread and it bought everything biscuit and bread related. So they become part of conglomerates, and then by the 70s, the brands kind of disappear. They get diluted into the larger company, but at least the brands lasted until the
D'accord. En fait,
70s.
la compagnie comme telle, Marvens, n'a pas nécessairement duré jusqu'aux années 70. Elle a été fusionnée avec d'autres compagnies, mais le branding a continué jusqu'à
That's right, yeah.
76.
And that's why we remember it.
D'accord.
And it was Mr. Holder's son that took over and brought it into the from the 1950s into the 70s. So that was a true family
wow.
enterprise up until the 70s, and then gets bought out.
Le fils de Monsieur Holder, de la rivalité, c'est lui qui a continué avec le Marvens pour l'apporter à... Wow, c'est une
Pour
vraie-
Brown Holder.
Ah, pour Brown Holder,
Oui, yeah.
désolé, ok.
Yeah.
Ouais.
Yeah, get them confused because they all
Ah,
work.
c'est-
They all
c'est
work
tout
in, and I don't know how bad the rivalry was, whether they had competing products necessarily.
Je sais pas.
No idea what the nature is, but they were competition at the
Oui,
time.
oui.
Friendly rivals?
Ben, c'est
Don't
ça.
know.
Ben,
We weren't there.
on n'était pas là, mais c'est sûr que ça fournit à leur succès quand même. Tu sais, quand c'est un peu de compétition, ça peut t'inspirer à faire les choses différemment. puis-
Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of things worked in favor for both companies to certainly survive when you're talking Marvin's, the world wars and things like that. It's people talk about nothing's constant but death and taxes. Well, apparently sweets should be tucked in there as well because everybody wanted crackers, graham crackers, sweets, things like that. So
Right.
that was never at risk of being, unless they started building military equipment out of biscuits, they were pretty safe.
Ouais,
Yeah.
c'est ça. Puis, en fait, dans nos lectures, on a aussi vu comment, parce que ça avait commencé sur la rue Main, puis ensuite, il a bougé la compagnie sur près de la rue King, la factory.
Factory Lane.
Factory Lane. Puis, la manière qu'il utilisait, parce que ça, c'était quoi? C'était pour faire des tissus,
Oui,
cette
yeah.
factory-là.
Oui.
Puis là, il a converti dedans le Marvin's Biscuit Factory. Mais il utilisait vraiment tous les raccoins de l'édifice pour que ce soit très, très producteur.
Yeah, when they converted the cotton factory, it was a factory. It was a warehouse-sized thing, very big, lot of space. They were apparently very efficient in using that space. Modern equipment crammed every possible corner. As you mentioned, that you found in the research that they would get their flour in. It wasn't like they backed up to the back and then
Non, ça
it went
montait
up
jusqu'au
up
troisième
a
étage.
conveyor belt that made its way like the opening of Laverne and Shirley. I don't know,
Dans une brasserie,
yeah,
là, tu sais,
yeah.
ça passe par partout, là.
So it really was a factory that used the entire building, and just judging by the success, no doubt efficiency was part of the plan for it to be as successful as it was.
C'est génial. Puis nous, on veut entendre vos histoires. Si vous avez des souvenirs, il y a quelqu'un qui a mentionné que tu pouvais rentrer dans l'édifice, puis tu pouvais avoir accès à des biscuits gratuits. C'était quoi cette histoire-là? C'était comme des biscuits qu'on cassait ou...
I don't know if they were free, but it was seconds. So
Okay.
whenever there were broken biscuits, like Ganon, same thing. If you go to a Ganon factory, you get their seconds. So misshapen chicken bones or whatever.
D'accord.
That there's a bulk of them for sale, but maybe they did give them away for free if kids came in and there was
Tu sais,
broken
sorti avec
biscuits.
ta
Yeah.
famille, on va aller chercher
Yeah.
des biscuits. Des biscuits cassés en deux, mais
Yeah,
tu sais.
they taste the same. I can
Ah.
vouch that they taste the same whether they're broken or not. Cool.
Ouais, voilà. Fait que la compagnie Marvin, on espère que ça vous a donné le goût de manger un peu de biscuits. Puis c'est ça. Fait que si vous avez des questions, on est là. Puis on a hâte de vous présenter un autre sujet la semaine prochaine.
Bye.